Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. This isn't the usual recording that I usually do, but I just wanted to make this video pretty quickly and get it out there. I was heading out to the gym earlier and a parcel was waiting for me outside. This shoe arrived, the ANTA C202 G9, and today we're gonna take a look at this shoe. I just unboxed this. I have not ran in this yet, so it's still pretty clean, and this video is just a quick look at the shoe and quick overview of the specs. Anyway, let's get started. First off, I ordered this with a discount using a 1,200 peso off voucher, which brought the price down to 7,195 or 130 US dollars. The original price was at 8,395 pesos or around $150. It's not quite cheap, but if you're looking for a budget racer, this is still half the price of more popular race day shoes. When I was in the product page, I did see some reviews of those who bought this shoe. Usually they were from Malaysia or Thailand, and it was the purple and pink color. This is a new release. It just says white, red, green speckled colorway. There's also a blood red splatter design, red silver colorway, and on ANTA's websites in different countries you can also see other colors there as well. Let's get into the details for now. The upper is called Shan Fiber, which is really just a mesh knit style upper. When I put it on, it does feel secure in the midfoot and in the heel. The toe box does seem a bit too roomy. The width isn't really that wide. It's just adequate for my feet, which is almost wide. I think it's trying to be a race fit, but isn't quite a snug race fit. If you go down half a size to get that performance fit, it might end up too short, as the length here is already true to size. I found it true to size. Some people would say it's a few millimeters shorter. I guess when you compare it to lengthier shoes like the 361 Flame 3 or most Hoka shoes, this might be a bit shorter, but versus other brands, this is what the usual size 10 length usually is for me. So there's actually no need to size up or size down in this one unless you really have very wide feet. And to deal with the extra volume on top, you just probably need to use a thicker sock. Heading to the outsole, it's called A Grip Pro. It's also seen in the C202 6 Pro and probably the C202 6 standard. It does have good traction and okay performance on wet weather based on some reviews who tested those shoes. The weight of this shoe is very light, and it's because of how thin the outsole is. There's also no coverage here in the heel area where the bevel is, so removing the rubber in this area reduces a lot of the weight. You can also see that they printed the thickness of the rubber here. It says 0.5 millimeters, so that's pretty thin, and I think this rubber is already light enough to begin with. I'm not sure how durable this one is, which makes me hesitant to use this as a trainer aside from a race shoe. Maybe it's best to preserve what little outsole this has and just use it for race day or special occasions. I mentioned how light this is, and on my US 10 it weighed 179 grams. That was on both left and right shoes. Usually one side is heavier than the other by a few grams. This one is identical on both. The combination of the minimalist upper, which is just like a soft net with pretty little padding around the heel, and the thin outsole does bring the weight down. I think if they had done some cutouts here, it probably would have brought the weight down a bit more, but this is already pretty light enough for me, especially at a size 10. It's under 200 grams. The reference size, which is a US size 8, is 165 grams. That reference size also has a stack height of 33 millimeters in the heel and 29 millimeters in the forefoot, giving it a 4 millimeter drop. I think it was measured with the insole. Going back to the upper for a bit, notice the lateral side only has the structured lace holes while the other side doesn't. It's one way how they reduce the weight, plus with the very light shoelaces. I am concerned with the durability though. If you tighten this too much, you might rip out one of the eyelets here, which doesn't have any reinforcement. Plus, as I said earlier, it is quite roomy at the top, so you'd be forced to tighten the laces. We'll see how this holds up in the long term. While it's a sock-like entry here, when you put your feet in, it's actually not that hard to get inside. It's not too stretchy. The issue might be having a secure fit, as it doesn't have an eyelet for a runner's knot. I hope when I run in this, I won't need to have that security from the runner's knot. When I fitted this earlier, the midfoot does feel secure and my heel held up pretty well. The lacing system also has a bias to the medial side here, and the tongue, or where it should be, as this one has none. This has no padding, but I don't see any issues with lace bite, as the laces are the very soft and very stretchy kind. Now, aside from the paper-thin upper and the very thin outsole, one thing also making this very light is the midsole. It's a full-length Nitro Edge Pro midsole, which is supposed to give the most responsive and very lively experience based on the website. This also has a carbon plate. When feeling this by hand, it really feels very airy and it's not a dense midsole. It feels similar to the ANTA C10, which is their top tier or top of the line shoe. Also, when holding it in hand and when I fitted earlier, the compression just gives me the Adidas Lightstrike Pro 3 vibes. It's not as compliant like the Lightstrike Pro 4. It's a bit closer to the Lightstrike Pro 3 in terms of how it feels when compressed. I don't know if it's going to feel the same when running. I'll have to find out when I run on these. So we'll see when I run in them and we'll know what the midsole feels like. Also, there's 2 layers of the same foam with the plate in the middle. I don't think the top or bottom has any difference in terms of softness or firmness. There's no cutout to see the plate, but with how light this is, I don't see any reason why they need to cut it out and shed more weight. And a positive for this is you won't have to deal with rocks being stuck in those areas where the cutouts are. I did mention the stack height earlier for the reference size, but on my size 10, it's roughly around 38 millimeters in the heel and 34 in the forefoot. I measured the heel right around here, not actually here where it contacts the ground, because usually that's where World Athletics measures it. This is a bit of an aggressive heel rocker, so when I measured it here, it's right around 38 millimeters, but if I would start where this contacts the ground, it's above 40 millimeters. Same with the forefoot as well. Now, I didn't measure right at the top here because this is a sidewall, but it's not really a very tall sidewall. I think it starts, your heel sits right around this area. It's not much of a sidewall, and when you apply pressure to it, it does collapse. So you won't really feel like the heel or the shoe is hugging you. They did make it higher in the medial side. Still the same thing. I don't think it adds any stability or any way of giving you that security, hugging your feet or your heel. In terms of how soft it is, I think the C202 6 Pro was a little bit softer when I held it in hand. Again, it's like the Adidas Lightstrike Pro, so it's in between the Flame 3 and the Lightstrike Pro 3, which I still find soft, but it's already closer to the firmer end. I have a feeling that this is a very propulsive kind of sensation. If you look at the rocker, the forefoot and heel rocker, it starts very early. It's pretty easy to transition or roll through your gait, regardless if you heel strike or forefoot strike, but propulsive in a way that caters to higher cadence runners instead of longer stride bouncy runners. I haven't ran in this yet, so we'll see. And plus, it's also not too soft, so turnover in this one might feel just seamless with that guidance. I was a fan of the ANTA C202 HP and the ASICS S4 Plus Ugiri because of that rolling sensation, and I feel like this one would be the same. It might not be too soft on the landing and you're gonna feel more of that liveliness, but it's also not too firm where it gets harsh. While the little sidewall here might not add much stability, the firmer heel or the firmer foam might just make this stable enough, especially if you heel strike, unlike softer race shoes where your ankles might get sore after long durations for compensating some wobble. Anyway, as I said earlier, it gives a lower official stack height because both forefoot and the heel rockers start a bit too early. Where it contacts the ground, you have more meat here in the midsole, and While it looks like it favors runners with a higher cadence because of that rolling guidance, I think this will fit well with those who have longer strides. What I'm not going to expect is an excellent energy return if this is going to be a cruiser type of experience. And I think this is just a good cruiser that just keeps you rolling seamlessly forward. Aside from the rocker, the toe spring here does look quite familiar, like the Nike Invincible 3. It thins out through the upward curve after the part here that's bulging. This does have more stack than the Invisible 3 though in this area. You can also compare the C202 6 Pro with this one. I think the 6 Pro combined with its tiny bit softer foam gives more snappiness when you power through with your toe flexion and release a toe off. Like I said, it might favor runners with less cadence and favor those with longer strides, whereas the C202 G9 might be the C202 6 Pro's counterpart that's built for more consistent speeds, steadier paces, or maybe even a controlled feel, sort of a more guided and seamless roll through your stride. I hope this will feel like a cruiser, as I seem to do well with these types of shoes, but that's just when looking at those images, and I don't own the 6 Pro, only saw and read reviews. Plus, I have to try this one out first before I can talk more about the experience. ANTA did state on their website that this gives a livelier experience, which I think could be bouncy, energetic, or it might mean very responsive, like a raw or firm propulsive feel that just keeps you rolling forward. We'll see when I try this one out. That's all, and I'll get back after a week or so after trying this one, so stay tuned.